Happy Friday, my friends. I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm going to send a quick text message out for the ladies in the VIP group. Um, we're not crafting today. I have some other things to share with you, and I hope that you come in, relax, grab a drink of whatever you want, and get cozy. I'm going to show you our item of the week. I'm also going to share with you a little bit of my story, so that you understand like where we have come from, where I have come from, where this page has come from, and what the Ruffled Daisy is all about. And honestly, I was reading in my devotional this morning, and it just prompted me to share this with you. Okay, so I hope that you guys are okay with not crafting today. Hello, Cheryl. Hello, Sherry. I'm going to read the devotional, and then I'm going to dig into a little bit about my story. Let's start with that, Cheryl. Cheryl asked how Parker was. You guys, we are at about 1 year out from Parker's surgery. I think that his surgery was June 14th of last year. And so we're 1 year out, and we had an MRI on Monday and went to the doctor yesterday. And you guys, things look so good. So we don't have to go back for another MRI for a year. And Parker asked a question. I don't remember how he worded it or whatever, but um, the older he gets, like we have to monitor this until he's out of puberty, but the older that he gets, the less likely it is that the tumor will come back. So we're good at a year out. There's been no growth. And so we're going to push it to a year. And then the further and further we get, the less likely it is going to come back. So thank you so much for the prayers. We get to just rest in knowing that things are going well, prayers are being answered. So thank you guys so much for that. We just are praising the Lord for that Parker is good for another year. So praise the Lord for that. Thank you for everybody that has prayed. Um, they are felt and they work, you guys. And that is actually a good. Oh, Kim, I saw your comment on my previous post, and I want you to know that I'm sitting with you in that. And part of my story may help with that today. Just your mindset, and just leaning into um, our security blanket. Okay. And so I'm going to read my devotional. I'm going to share a lot of my story. But first I'm going to show you our item of the week. So we had this piece that was really popular last year. It is 2 door tags. Okay. So you're going to get 2 door tags. And this is 50% off today. But it also comes with this cool eagle and a cutout of the Statue of Liberty. I have painted this before. It is on the link that you can, let me pull the link up so I can just show you. You can see what it looks like. Oops. Let's see. Copy. Let's go over here to my video and paste. Okay. Oh, geez. We're going to ban somebody. um, All right. All right. So you get the 2 door hangers. It's normally $18, but you're getting it for 50% off from now until Sunday. So this is a really great buy. And so I thank you so much, Sherry. You're so sweet. You are so sweet. We all are mentors in some way. Sherry said I could listen to you all day. You are my mentor. And I want you to know that we are all mentors in some way. Like we all have value to share with the world, to share with each other. And so I want you to believe that about yourself. Okay. It's taken me a long time to understand what value I brought to the world. But God's been working on that. And we all have that value in so many different ways and so many different areas. And so I want you to know that you have that, and that I want you to pray for that if you are just a little bit unclear on that. I feel like we're going to be doing a lot of banning on YouTube today because they're just going crazy over here in the comments right now, but that's all right. So anyway, you're going to get 2 of these. It's normally $18 for all of this. And there's a few other pieces I'm going to show you. It's normally $18 for all of this, but you're going to get it for 50% off. So what does that make it? $9? Is that right? $9. $9, you're going to get two tags. They're like almost 12 inches tall. And then you're going to get this cut out, which is like the eagle, Statue of Liberty in it. And then you're also going to get a star. So there's a star. And then you're also going to get a USA so that you can decorate, create however you want. Okay. So you're going to get all of this and it's $9, 50% off today. However, in order to get that discount, you have to use the coupon code IOTW. Okay. It's short for item of the week. Okay. So IOTW. Make sure that you are using that in order to get this for $9. Hello, Deb. Hello, Jean. So good to see you. All right. So, like I said, we're not crafting today, but I have some things that I want to share with you. So, I'm going to read the devotion first out of this. Marissa, you asked. I'm going to find a link on Amazon because I was at a gas station. I was at a gas station out of town and I saw this. I was actually on my way to our live retreat here a few weeks ago in Newton, Kansas, that several of you guys came to. I was actually headed there and I got this in a gas station, but I'm pretty sure that you can buy it on Amazon and stuff too. So I'll find the link for you, but it's just a little devotional. It doesn't even have an author. I think it's just from the publishing company, which is Broad Street Publishing. Oh, design, edited and compiled by. Okay, so I'll find a link for you, but this is it. This is the one that I've been reading out of and sharing with you guys a little bit. Today's June 6th. And so I want to read today's, and then I'm going to dig into a little bit about, my testimony, where I've been, where I've come from, kind of the stories that have shaped me into being who I am today. And what I want you guys to really hold on to as you guys are listening. um, is that we all have a story. We have all been where there's been grief. We've all been where there's been sorrow. We've all been where there's been joy. We've all been where there's all of these things, and they all are a part of our story. However, that has been our past story, and we have the ability to create our future story. Okay. We have the ability to change the belief systems that we've had in the past, the things that we've believed. And I'm going to dig into that a lot when I share my testimony here with you in a minute, because I had a belief about myself that was completely untrue. Okay. And just rewiring it and just beginning to believe that just because I thought it was true so many years ago doesn't mean it was true. But then we have to we have to retrain ourselves to have a new belief system, okay? And that's super hard. But I'm going to tell you guys that I did it with God by my side. And there's absolutely no way that I would be where I am today if it wasn't for him. He gets all the glory all the time, okay? I just want you guys to know that. Hello, Trula. Hello, Wanda. Judy from Independence, Missouri. Maureen from St. Louis. Sherry from Kansas. Sherry is right here in my small town. Um, Darla from Indiana. All right, so I'm going to read this. June 6th. It says the title of it is Security Blanket. Okay. Let me go back. Let me make sure that I can see all my comments because I just want to make sure we got that going on. All right. The scripture that is for today is Psalm 4, chapter 4, verse 8. And it says, "In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety." Okay. We're talking about a security blanket here. And I meant Parker had pillows that I made for him all the time. I probably created 4 or 5 pillows and he wore them out. He would chew on them while he was sleeping. He probably doesn't want me to share that with you. But he would wear them out. So I would consistently make him new ones. And I was going to share with you what those looks like, but I moved them and I don't remember where I put them because they're not in my drawer. I remember moving them and I think I put them in a box of just kind of his stuff from when he was little. So I was going to share that with you today. And I was like, bummer, I can't share with you what his security blanket was. Okay. Have you ever spent hours or minutes, or let me restart. Have you ever spent hours or minutes that seemed like minutes that seemed like hours? We're going to get this right. Searching frantically for a blankie, a passy, or a lammy for a child or something like that in an attempt to quiet the inconsolable child sprawled out on the floor. That wonderful security item, the magic silencer, the instant peacemaker. As kids grow older, we try to wean them off of these security island items, the blankets that are torn to shreds, and that's when I wanted to share with you the pillow, the teddy bears with missing eyes, or the pacifiers that were chewed beyond recognition. Most children don't agree that they could do without the security of this thing, and they have a point. Think of all the times that you have walked through trials and found yourself at a loss. Where do you go to feel secure? The best place you can go to is God. He is our security and He gives us the strength we need to press on. We shouldn't feel lost when we don't have Him nearby. When He's right beside us, sharing our pillow in the dark of the night, riding beside us in the car, or sitting next to us at our desk, we sense that everything is going to be okay when we feel Him by us. And so I want you to think about, what security blanket do you have in life? We all still have a security blanket, even if it's not a pacifier or a pillow. We all have a security blanket in life. And so I want to share with you a little bit today, my story. And this has been one that's been a little bit hard for me. I've thought for a long time, like, how to share this story. Not really because I'm embarrassed of it anymore, which there's embarrassing parts of my story. There's embarrassing parts of your story. It's not that I'm really embarrassed about it anymore, but it's because it's one of those stories that you don't just toss out quickly. Okay. It's one that you sit with, it's one that you let breathe, and it's one that it's real. Okay. And I want you to know that you all have a story. As I'm sharing mine today, I want you to think about where you see your story. Okay. What does your story look like? What were things from when you were a child that you had no clue was defining you, but it did? Sometimes in good ways and sometimes in bad ways. And so, as I share my story, my testimony with you, I want you guys to think about what yours would look like. Um, and this is something that my testimony at almost 50 years old is going to be different than my testimony at 60. Okay, so don't feel like you get to the point, oh man, I have a testimony. I'm there. I made it. No, we are always ever evolving. And so I want to share a little bit of my story with you to give you guys hope. Okay. So I grew up in a really good home. My mom loved me. She was a single mom. I had a couple stepdads, but it was a good home. I was shielded from anything that she may have felt would be toxic or anything like that. She worked hard. She gave me things that I wanted and needed. Okay, so for the most part, I felt safe. But even in the middle of all of that love from her, there was this quiet voice inside of me that said, "You don't quite belong." And I didn't even, in looking back, I know that voice was in there. But at that point in time, I didn't hear that voice audibly, but I felt it. Okay. That quiet voice that said, "You don't quite belong." So where did that voice come from? I've tried to dig into this a lot, just through counseling in previous years, and working with some things in my mastermind right now with those ladies who I absolutely love, and they've just encouraged me to be a better, just a better Christian woman. And so, um, make sure you're surrounding yourself with people like that. Okay. Number one, make sure you are surrounding yourself with people like that, because that's going to help you when you are surrounding yourself with people who are trying to grow in their story, trying to nurture their story, trying to be kind with their story, because we have the stories that we are not kind with because we are mean to ourselves. And so being able to surround yourself with people who allow you to do that, who encourage you to do that, I want you to hold on to that. Okay. I want you to hold on to that. So my dad, he left before I turned 1. Okay, I don't remember him leaving. I was too young. But I believe that I spent my whole life living with what that meant. Like why was he gone? Why wasn't I didn't even know my dad. Like I met him at my daughter's funeral, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. When I was 20. And so I spent my whole life trying to understand what that meant, because that absence does leave a mark. I don't care who you are. And it whispers stuff to you that you start to believe. And this is where I believe I began to have the feelings of that if you were worth it, he would have stayed. If you were worth it, he would have stayed. You aren't good enough for him to stay. Okay, those words were never, ever, ever audibly told to me, but that's what I believed. And because I believed that, that was the lens I looked through everything. Okay. When you believe that lie of, well, you're not worth it, you spend your entire life trying to prove that you are worth something. And so that's what I did. I became a performer of sorts. um, I I made really good grades. I was loved being the teacher's pet, doing all the right things so people would clap. Okay. I I want you to know that this is very vulnerable, but I believe that there is power in telling stories that connect with you. Because this person that you're buying a craft kit from is more than just a person you're buying a craft kit from. She's been in the deep trenches of sorrow and grief and pain and shame, just like you. And she's been in the sky with joy and happiness and all of those things, just like you. Okay. But in sharing those parts that shape us in ways that we let them shape us in ways that aren't good for us and are not godly, it's hard to share that sometimes. Okay, so I want you to know that. Um, so I got addicted to applause. I know that sounds crazy, but I got addicted to the good job, the smile, you did so good. And I needed it to feel like I mattered. And as I grew, I found real stages. I was in dance and gymnastics. I was in cheerleading, and I was good at them. I loved being a part of something that was fun and full of life. And when I was doing that, I forgot that ache a little bit. I forgot that I wasn't worth it because I was performing and I was getting that oh, what's the word? It completely slipped up. Getting that validation. Okay. But even when the lights were off, you guys, that belief that I had about me was still there. It never went away. Okay, so validation in the outwardly world is it's false. Even if it feels so real at the moment, it is false. Okay, so that belief that I had, even though it may have disappeared for the time being, it never went away. I still believed it. I still told it to myself in my head all the time. I still felt it with everything in my body. So it never went away. As I was growing up, my grandma, um, she wasn't mean. She wasn't she just wasn't warm with me. Okay. And with my brother, um, she adored him. And you could see it. You could see it. I have always told myself that I'm the black sheep of the family. I've labeled myself as that way because I began to believe that the black sheep isn't worthy. Okay, so my grandma wasn't mean, but she wasn't warm with me. But I saw that she was with my brother. With me, it always felt like she was just tolerating me. And sometimes I don't even think she tolerated me. I really dug under her skin for whatever reason, because remember, she has a story too. And we are experiencing everything in our life with the stories that we have told ourselves that weren't true. So I always felt like she was just tolerating me. And when you have a belief system in you that says you are not worthy, how do you take that? It stings because it makes that lie feel a little bit more true. Okay? There are lies in this world that really seem like truth. And I want you guys to know that it is hard to decipher sometimes the difference between a truth and a lie, because sometimes those lies are really good at looking like truth. Um, so then so I had my grandma, I had my dad who wasn't there. I had my grandma who I didn't feel love and connection and empathy and tenderness from. And then I had my brother. My brother and I has been hard. I spent years and years and years trying to get close to him. I wanted him to see me. I wanted him to care. But I always felt like he was distant. I kept hoping he would like get closer, but he didn't. And eventually, there was a point in my life where I had to grieve the loss of that relationship that I had in my head because it never was going to exist. It was never going to exist. He's still alive, but the bond that I wanted, the bond that I I put on him that he had to heal in me, it's gone. Okay? And that hurt is something that you it's hard to talk about sometimes. It's hard to talk about sometimes. So, as I go through this story, you're going to be able to see a common theme of me not feeling worthwhile and me looking to outside things to prove that wrong, to prove that belief wrong. I had this belief in me that I thought was true, that I was not worthwhile, I was not worthy. And so I began to put things, the cheerleading, the dance, the straight A's, the teacher's pet, I began to put my worth in those things so that it would drown out that lie I believed about myself. Okay. So then I had my grandpa. He was different. I loved my grandpa. I mean, he was definitely, I wish I had my grandpa in my adult life right now, but I don't. He passed away about when I was 18. No, it was about 20. It was within the year that my daughter passed. It was a tough year. My mom had breast cancer. My daughter passed, and I lost my grandpa, which was the man in my life that I loved. He loved. I felt from him without him ever having to say it, but I felt loved by him without me having to earn it, without me having to be straight A's. He would love me. Without me being a dancer, he would love me. Without me being a cheerleader, he would love me. Without all of these things, he made me feel like he would love me. And so he was a fisherman. I remember one day I was sitting with him at his little table in the corner where he was making fishing lures. And I just hold on to that time. I remember sitting there with him, and I am trying to grasp as I get older, understanding and remembering what that feeling was like because it's very powerful in my story, but it was such a simple moment. But there was so much power in that story because he was showing me a love that I didn't know existed. So, funny thing is that I obviously paint now, and my grandma, I probably got my love of creating from my grandma, even though I didn't feel that grandmotherly, granddaughterly love bond. That is probably where I got my creativity from. My mom and my grandma did ceramics. So that's where I learned to like paint and, started to learn to do all the things. But it's funny when you're a painter, you begin to understand color more. Okay. And I remember when I was sitting with my grandpa, I had to probably only be about 6. I don't remember that time frame, but I know I wasn't a preteen. I wasn't a teen. And so I was probably about 6. I was old enough to remember things. I have terrible memory in my family, but I was old enough to remember. And so at that time, that's where I learned what the word chartreuse was. He was putting together the feathers that go with the weights that he used for fishing lures. And I remember I probably was like, I don't remember what started the conversation, but I remember that word chartreuse because it was a cool word. I'd never heard of it. But I probably asked, or he was just telling me what he was doing. But I probably was like, what is that color? Because chartreuse is vibrant, chartreuse is fun. And so that bright green color still makes me think of him. And you know what? I need to do a special project that I use the color chartreuse in honor of him. I just had that thought. So I need to do that. Um, but that's where I learned the word chartreuse, and every time I hear the word chartreuse or I see it, I think of him. And here's the thing, that's not a word or a color that you see very often, even. Okay, you're going to see red, purple, teal, yellow, all of those words. But, the blue in the crown box when you were little, it was a blue color called coneflower. Okay, well, or cornflower. I don't even remember, but those are the colors that you don't hear the names of very often. And chartreuse was one of them. And it just captured me. Um, but in that moment, my grandpa was steady. He was safe. I could sit there and not do anything. I just had to be me, and I was accepted. Whatever he was giving off to me, I was accepted. He didn't need me to be perfect. So, that was the one place where that lie in me that you aren't worthy it was quieted. It was quieted. The only person that took that lie away is when I gave my life to God, okay, and we're gonna get there. So, that story was when I was 6. I talked about the relationship with my grandma and my brother and things like that, but then, you fast forward to my early 20s. I married my high school sweetheart. I had Alicia when I was 18. I had Selena when I was 20. So at that point in time in my early 20s, I looked like I had it together. I was married. We had 2 girls. My oldest, Alicia, she's 2, so she was full of energy and all of that. Go on, Nova. Go. Sorry. Um, and then I had the baby. And at about 10 weeks old, they start smiling, they start giving you start seeing more of their personality. And on the day of Alicia's second birthday, we were having a party. And what do parties have? They have laughter, they have cake, they have people everywhere. And there were people who had not met Selena, because Nova, you have to get down. There are people who had not met Selena at that point in time because she was only 10 weeks old. You know how sometimes extended family and things like that. So, my mom went to check on her because she was napping, and she came back holding her, and there was nothing. Um, she was gone. It was SIDS, and that is just no warning signs, no anything. You put your baby down for a nap, and she doesn't wake up. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Because when you have that voice inside of you that says, "I'm not worthy, you're not worthy enough to stay," and your own flesh and blood doesn't stay, that makes you question God a lot. That's a tough one. Um, um, I figured that this would probably happen today. But you don't share stories that connect with people if you are not connecting it with yourself, okay? Um, share your story, you guys. Okay, there's healing in it. Um, tears don't always mean sadness. These do. I don't have my daughter. She would be 28 right now. Um, there are still tears of sadness around that because you know what? Sometimes in this earthly world, there are things that we can't ever understand. So in that moment, I was 20 years old and there was a shift. There was a shift in that moment. I could not have defined it that day, but there was a shift in that moment that I recognized looking back. Um, the world just cracked open. There was joy at a birthday party and heartbreak, and I was left holding both. So I kept going because I didn't know what else to do. We're girls and we're women that we just get up and go. We just fix it or we just go forward because that's what they do. Okay. We just put one foot in front of the other. I didn't know what else to do, but something inside of me was gone. Um, my marriage didn't survive it. We were already struggling. We were high school sweethearts who didn't really know what love was. I got pregnant when I was 18. We got married because we were like, okay, well, this is what it's supposed to be. But we were struggling. It wasn't true love. Okay. That's like, it wasn't a traumatic relationship. It wasn't any of that. We were just young and dumb. So we were struggling. And then that grief, as you go through having to lay a child to rest, literally, I laid my child to rest, and then I had to lay her to rest permanently. I became a single mom. So I worked and then he moved to Texas. So I was a single mom. I worked, I made meals, tucked my daughter into bed, put her in school, did all the things with her, did like um, Girl Scouts, all the things. And it was just every day. I was just putting one foot in front of the other every day. I wasn't living, I was surviving. Um, to give you context, Alicia is 30 right now. So this was about 28 years ago. Um, in all that fog, I met Brian, Big B, the love of my life right now. And he is the complete opposite of me. He's loud, he's funny, he's full of life, and he made me laugh again. And at that moment in time, I felt like he brought color back into my world. Um, but I also brought baggage to that relationship big time. And I want to follow up and say, we all bring baggage. Okay, so knowing that you're bringing baggage, I don't want you to believe that that makes you a bad person because we all bring baggage. Okay, um, and so understand that and just figure out what that baggage is. But when I brought that baggage, there's a country song right now. I think it's Kelsey Ballerini, and it's called Baggage. She has this relationship where she's bringing all of her baggage, but she sets it at the door because she knows that she doesn't need him to carry that baggage. But I gave it to Brian. I put on him that I needed him to fix what was broken inside of me. I needed him to prove that I was worth staying for. To be everything I never felt. And think about someone putting all of that on you. That is a lot. That is a lot for anyone to shoulder, for anyone to carry. But that's what I gave him unknowingly. Okay. I didn't know that's what I was doing to him. And he didn't say I do, knowing that I was going to be this mess. And we've both been a mess, but it was a lot. And around that time, the Ruffled Daisy started. I at then Brian and I got married. We had James, we had Parker, and when I had James, I became a stay-at-home mom. I quit my job. He got a job at the railroad. I quit my job, and I became a mom, and I've been home ever since. Um, but that's about when the Ruffled Daisy started, not as a business, but it was just me creating things. And so people liked the things, they bought the things, it grew. But if I'm really honest, it was still me performing. The cat had something to say about that one. It was still me performing. I was just doing it with paint instead of cheerleading pom poms. I was still chasing approval. I was still trying to be seen. Um, and this is where it gets tough. I think little Miss Nova thinks I need some love right now. I love you. Go on. Um, 15 years into my marriage, everything broke. Um, I hurt people, I broke trust, I shattered friendships, and I crushed the man that loved me the most. And the hardest thing about that period of time was coming to terms with the fact that I was the one that did the breaking and I couldn't hide it anymore. I wasn't the fixer. I was the breaker. And I hit rock bottom in that time period. This was about, let's see, 15 years into our marriage. This year we are celebrating 23 years of marriage. And so this was about 8 years ago. I hit rock bottom. And in that place, I believed that lie that I had told myself my entire life. I believed it so much that I didn't want to be here. In that place, I believed that the world would be better off without me. I begged, I begged God to take my life. And again, that's tough to say because who wants to say that? That's the worst thing ever that you could want for yourself. And that's where I was. Um, and it was my fault. So I sat in silence. I held the guilt. I held the grief, not wanting to wake up, not wanting to see any way forward. But then God. Um, when you lay everything bare to him, there's something very raw and real about that. He knows when you're just giving him the surface level stuff. Okay. God knows when you're just giving him the surface level stuff. Um, and he knows when you're bearing it all. He's just going to wait for you to do it. Because when you do it, when you bear it all and say, this is your life, not mine, that's when he shows up. And he sat with me in that moment and said, I still choose you. All my life, I felt like people weren't choosing me. My dad left. My grandma wasn't tender with me. My my grandpa passed, the one man in my life that I absolutely adored, my daughter. So in that moment, there wasn't much there was no other option other than to give my life to him and say, "This is yours." Every day from here forward, I will put each foot down, each step forward in your name. everything I do. So I gave him all that I had left. And you guys, it honestly, it was not much. I was just, who would want me? Like, why? So I was like, take it all. The ugly parts, because there's a lot of ugly parts, take it all. And little by little, he started rebuilding. Um, it's not overnight, not a make it look nice kind of fix, but a full on rebuild. He started in my marriage. It wasn't easy. Um, but we both chose to show up to each other day after day. And God softened both of us. He rebuilt trust, He rebuilt intimacy. And honestly, He's rebuilt a very crucial part of a marriage, the friendship. Because there's a lot of people who are married and they're not friends. But He began to build that. And in the past 8 years, I have seen that. He's rebuilt the trust. He's helped us to learn how to fight for each other, but not against each other. Because you guys, I was always the one that wanted to win because then it made me feel like I was worth it. Do you see where this lie was everywhere in my life? And I was letting it lead everything I did, but it was a lie. There's When you have a strong testimony and you have a point in your life where you know God is with you every step of the way, you want everyone to know because there is a power in that transcends absolutely every earthly thing. Um, so in that time of rebuilding, God gave me back my voice and not the lies that I was hearing. He gave me back my voice, but now it wasn't for applause. It was to tell the truth. And you guys know I don't shy away from that on this page. It's to tell the truth, to let other women know that you're not alone, or men, I don't care, and that healing is possible. At that point in time, 8 years ago, the ruffled daisy was to the point where I was like, I just don't even want to do this anymore because I was doing it for the wrong reasons. And I was like, but then there was something inside of me that was like, you can't let that go, Beth. There's something there. And at that point in time, it stopped being a business. It became a refuge. It became a space for you to understand where creativity meets healing, where you get to remember that you're not just here to serve everyone else. You're allowed to be whole. So, in all that time, he's changed how I parent. I don't chase perfection anymore. I show my kids what grace looks like, what it means to mess up and still be loved. He's given me peace, so much peace. Because even there was that moment in time where God said, "You are worthy. You are worthy enough for something in this world. You have a purpose, you have value." And even though that, the devil still likes working. And so every once in a while, you could still hear that you're not worthy because we fall back into old patterns so easy. That's natural, it's human, it's okay. But the point is, you have to recognize when you're falling back into that and say, you know what? That is a lie. And that's peace. My life didn't magically get easier. I still had financial troubles because I was crap at money. Still growing in that area, but like, all of these things, it doesn't get magically easier. But my life got real. My life got rooted. It got free. And that is what we do on this page. I'm trying to help you get rooted in that story because now I live from a place of being already loved. Someone else's love doesn't dictate the love God feels for me and that I should feel for myself. So I want you to know that if you are in that place, the one where everything feels like it's crumbling, you're not broken. You are not too far gone. And you are not the worst thing that you've done. You are not defined by that. Okay. That's a lot. That's a lot. If you stuck with me through that, thank you. Um, these stories are not easy to share, but I don't tell it for sympathy. I tell it because I know I'm not the only one who's walked through the hard stuff. And I want you to know that if you're in the middle of all those broken parts, if you feel like your mess is just entirely too much, you're not alone. You're not alone, but God meets you right there. But what did I say? He's waiting for you to meet him. He's waiting for you to meet him. So that is why this page exists. That's what the Ruffled Daisy is. I sell you cute craft kits and teach you how to paint, or actually, we just paint together. I mean, I'm just learning right along with you. And it's not just for crafts, though, it's for connection, for healing, for you to remember that you're allowed to grow, you're allowed to rebuild, and you're allowed to be fully loved just as you are right now. Do you guys believe that? You probably didn't know that this was gonna be this kinda live today, did you? I'm looking back at the comments and I'm thinking, "Whoop." Let me read some of those. Mary, everything is okay. Yes, yes, yes. Just sharing some things on my heart. Everything is absolutely okay. Out of sadness comes happiness. Oh, Carrie from A Pinch of Salt on here. I love you, girl. Kathy, I love you too. Oh, Brenda, you're in that place right now wanting God to take you. We chatted about that the other night. And yes, I'm praying for you. I know that you're walking through a very tough season right now. Um, and I want you to know that I see you. And as much like we want to like jump through chapters of our story because we don't want to go through the hard ones, but we have to. Okay, they're parts of your stories. That's why you have chapters because things change with each chapter. And so I'm sorry you're in that chapter right now, and I'm praying for your comfort, for your peace, and for you to feel that love as you are navigating that chapter right now, Brenda. Oh, thank you, Trula. Mary said, I just saw a few minutes of this live and want you to know that you are amazing, you are inspiring, you are a gift from God. Oh, thank you, Mary. I'm just doing what He tells me to do every single day. And that is what I want you to do. Um, oh, I love you, Mary. I love you so much. Thank you. Um, Loretta says, you help me to know that I am worthy. You are worthy. We just don't believe it. We don't believe it, and it's because the world is ugly. My grandma had trauma of her own, and she was living her life through that trauma, through that story that she had as a child or whatever it is, and so, you know, I don't blame her. Did I still want that love from her? Yes, but looking back, like, I don't blame her because she was living her story the best she could at that point in time. Same for my brother. Like they're living through the lens of their story, through their story of the first however many chapters of their life. Oh, Emily, I'm so glad that you were on here. If this was something that you needed to hear today, I'm so glad that you were on here. Look, I hurt myself. I smashed my hand and I thought for sure it was going to turn like bruised everywhere. But no, it's sore too. I smashed it. You have been in the place of not wanting to be there. My faith in God got me through it. Know you are loved and worthy. Absolutely, Sandy. Amen. Because as I shared in my story, there was a time where I did not want to be here. Um, I remember driving somewhere to, I hate saying end my life, but that's what it was. And one of my friends called me because she knew I was in a very tough spot. Brian and I were arguing, and she knew I was in a very tough spot. And she's like, "Don't go home, turn around and go home." Um, Unfortunately, she's not my friend anymore, but she was definitely the friend I needed at that point in time. Um, yeah. So yes, like we all have that. Um, and just because your story may not have like this defining moment where you see before God and after God, doesn't mean that your story is any less impactful. And I want you to know that because sometimes we're like, gosh, if I just like knew, if this just happened, or if I just saw this, not all of our stories have impactful moments, but it doesn't make your story any less impactful. I hope that makes sense. Walking by faith, stumbling often. Amen. I want to thank you guys for being here today. This was a little bit different. This was a little bit deep. This was a little bit raw. And, that can be a lot on a Friday. But I hope that it sends you into your weekend with some joy, with some happiness, with some hope. And also with you knowing that this community is here for you. Okay. This community is here for you. Um, I'm going to go up. I know I've already, all the door hanger of the months are cut. And so, but if you still want those, you can get them until the end of the month. But those are headed out today. Our item of the week, don't forget what our item of the week is. It is only a $9 project, normally 18. So it's 50% off, which is an amazing deal. Let me show you what it was again for those of you that just hopped on. So you're gonna get two of these little door tags. I say little, but they're not. They're like 12 inches tall. So you get two of those. And you can use them individually. You don't have to use them together. And then you get this little cutout that looks like an eagle with the Statue of Liberty in it. Okay, this is one of our popular sellers from last year. You're also going to get a star. You can put these anywhere. I'm just holding them up, so I'm trying to just get them to not fall off so you can see. And then you get USA letters. Okay. So you're going to get two tags. You're going to get two tags. You're going to get the Eagle Statue of Liberty cutout silhouette. You're going to get the USA, and then you're going to get a star. And so this is $9. And these, if you look online, let me see. There's the link again. If you click that link, it will take you to the one that I painted. So you're going to be able to see what it looks like painted. Okay. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Trula. Sherry, I'm so glad that your husband is your best friend. I would have to say Brian is mine too, and that brings me so much joy because I had no clue the day that I got married that I was marrying my best friend. I had a lot of baggage that I had to work through, but I'm so glad that I did. So glad that I did. Darla says I lost my best friend in a tragic accident at 15 years old, and for a short time he felt totally alone and felt like my life was over. But your faith got you through it, and God brought me out of the darkness. And within a year, I met the love of my life, and we'll be married 49 years in August. I love that, Darla. Oh man, don't you? That's just a joy. That's just a joy. But I mean, life. So God is the fixer of all things, but we still live in our earthly world. Okay. We still have sin. We still have sorrow. We still have grief. We still have shame. We still have like all of these things that we deal with on a daily basis on our earthly world. Um, but He helps us shoulder that. He carries that for us. Okay. So it just makes it easier. Oh, thank you, Mary. I love you, Mary. I love you. All right. I'm going to hop off. I got to go get the laser probably running again because it's probably stopped waiting for me to unload it and reload it. I'm going to go ship some stuff out. So make sure you grab your item of the week. Next week inside the VIP group for those ladies that are in there. Remember, next week, we're going to dig in a little bit deeper to your story. I'm going to help you define your story. What does that look like? It's going to be 5 days, like a little short workshop that I'm offering inside that group. So if you're in there, make sure that you catch those videos every day. Just before you go to bed at night or something, pop in every day and make sure that you're catching that little training, that little short training that I'm going to have you work through on just defining your story and the story of your past and the story of your future. All right. You are so welcome, Judy. So many women are trapped in silence and expectations of other people. Yes, that is absolutely true. All the glory goes to God. Amen. Amen. All right. I love you, ladies. Thanks for hanging out with me this Friday, and I will see you very soon. Bye.